Hello everyone, River Raven here, and today we're going to be painting my Necrons from the Elite Edition starter set. We're going to be painting them just like this guy here in an Australian red desert theme. Here's a list of all the paints that I use throughout this video, though I do advocate that you just use whatever you've got. There's no need to go out and spend $40 and buy these specific paints. The only specific one that I feel like you will need is Martein's Iron Earth, and that is because it has a crack effect. When it dries, it'll leave the paint cracked, and unless you have another paint that you think you could opt out with that, then that one's probably the only one that you'll need to pick up. Also, if you couldn't tell, the smaller pots are the Citadel paints and the larger, longer ones are Vallejo. Alright, now that we've got our paints together, I always like to give them a black undercoat and then do a dry brush of white on top. And this part is really not important, just use whatever paint you've got. Just make sure that you get a good base paint down to kind of cover just that plastic. You never want to be painting on straight plastic. Up first we have Bugman's Glow. Now this is a bit of a harder colour to come by, but if you have something similar then use that one. You've probably noticed that we are painting straight over the top of the white that we've put down, and that's because I just like giving them a white dry brush before starting to make them feel a little more alive instead of having that straight black on top, but you can totally just skip this step. I just enjoy doing the dry brush. Up next we're using the Martein Iron Earth, and I've filmed it drying so that we can see the crack effect. Here we've got it on a soldier, and you can see it's turned out just as good on a smaller model. Next we're using Necron compound on all the blades, guns and metal bits of the robots. So far your Necrons should look like this, and if they don't look like this, I'm not sure what you've done wrong and I don't think I can help you. Up next, grab your Balthazar's Gold, and we're only going to be using a little bit of this. You kind of want to dab it on just in little spots to give that rust effect. And if you do use too much, it'll come up as like a red rust, and unless that's the effect you're going for, then just be a bit sparing with it. Now that we've got just the right amount of rust on, we are going to be putting the skeleton horde on top of them. Now you want to be really happy with your models before putting this on, because this is the point of no return. This is going to be where we're putting the washers on, and this is first of 2 washers. Here I'm using the Reclan Flesh Shade, and this is going to be really good for getting into all of those cracks and giving them a darker tone, as well as giving the red a different tone as well. Now I'm taking a Necron compound again, and what I'm doing here is just hitting those edges of the blade, kind of where the Necron would be hitting someone or something with it, just to knock off that rust. And I'm hitting some of the other areas as well that I want to take back from that rust as well. Here I'm just taking Reclan Flesh Shade again, mixed with a little bit of Absidon Black, and I'm just getting into all those smaller parts on the gun that would be dark. Here I'm taking a dry brush and I'm just putting a bit more of Bugman's Glow on the edges of the models. And what I'm trying to do is just hit the edges where the mud or sand would be drier. This is one other thing you'll have to pick up from somewhere. It is orange sand. Now, I picked it up from a ant keeping website because I actually have some pet ants that I'm going to show you in a sec. But yeah, I picked it up from there. I'm pretty sure you'd be able to pick it up from anywhere. Just probably isn't the best idea to try and replicate the orange sand by painting it. And there's my queen with her couple of workers. I've actually had them for about 2 years now, and I'm really happy with keeping them. Alright, it is sand bath time for this little Necron, and I am putting glue onto his shoulders and stuff because I want the sand to stick on there to make it look like he's just risen up out of that red Australian desert sand. And there we have him, the first one of many. He, at the moment, does look like he's just been into a bag of Cheetos, but that's okay. We're going to take a dry brush, and make sure you take an old dry brush when you're doing this, because you may get some glue and sand into your brush, which you definitely don't want on a new one. but we're just going to take some of that sand off and just get rid of all the loose stuff so it doesn't go all over my room. And there he is. Doesn't he look good like that? And here we have all of them done. And I haven't done them all the same. I've given some more sand, some less. I really wanted to mix it up just to make it look like they have just risen out of that Australian desert sand. Alright, make sure that sand is dry, and then I'm just going to hit them with a little bit of white just to hit the tops of that sand, and also again to hit some of the edges of the Necron. Up next we are hitting these little balls of the gun with the Vallejo off-white, as well as this vent grill thing. We're not going to leave them white, don't worry about that, but we do need to hit them with this initial white for the next effect. Now I'm taking a dry brush of the sun yellow, and I'm just hitting the tops of the sand just to highlight them a bit more. Next we are mixing equal parts of Goblin Green from Vallejo and Citadel's Araman Blue, and I've watered these down, and what you want them to do is fill in the recesses like it's doing here, and you don't want it to overpower the white because we're going for that blue glow effect. Now for one last little detail, you can take your Goblin Green or your yellow or blue or red or whatever colour you would like to just hit the exposed wires that are coming out of the gun. You could also leave them metal, it's totally up to you. I like to just put the colours in there just to get those little details. Alright, now that that is all done and the model is almost finished, we are putting him back into the bath, but this time it is just for his base. So I decided again to take Reclan Flesh Shade and Absidon Black and just mix those two and hit all those little cracks again and just darken them up, and even darken up some of the shadier parts like his shoulder blades and under his neck. So I wasn't 100% happy with these bases. As you can see, it's a little thin and some of the black of the base is exposed. So I just decided to put glue over them and stick them back in again. With a very dry brush, I've mixed some yellow and white, and we are just going to run that over the sand just to hit some of those little tiny rocks. And here I'm just taking a little bit of Bugman's Glow and a little bit of white and just hitting those edges again to re-highlight them. But be careful, you don't want to use too much and overdo it. You can see here that I've hit we're under attack. You can see that I've hit the collarbones there with a bit of the white, as well as the shoulders here, giving those cracks a really dry look. And as I said, you don't want to go overboard, but yeah, these look about perfect. Up next, we are using Jarvis Countryside. Now you can pick this up on eBay for about $2, I think. It actually costs more in postage. We're also going to be using Deadland Tough from the Army Painter, as well as Swamp Tough. So now I'm just putting down some glue, and that's also from the Army Painter. It's called Battlefield's Basing Glue. And I prefer using this over the Citadel's glue. I find that it sticks the tufts a bit better. You could maybe go without any glue on these. They do have a bit of stickiness to them, but I like to stick them down and make sure they're nice and secure. And the glue that I'm using dries clear, so you don't have to worry about any of that white residue. So I'm taking some more tufts here, and this one's going to be going onto the model to give it that look of that it's just pulled itself out of the earth and pulled up some shrubs with it. As you can see, I'm putting the glue onto the tuff, which makes it a lot easier to stick on to the model. Now we're taking the lichen and we're just going to pull it apart and hopefully get a nice little branch or something that I can stick onto the model. So I'm just putting Citadel glue directly into a crevice where I want the branch sticking out of. Don't try and put the glue onto the tip of the lichen. It does not work and it will not stick on there. It's better to put a whole heap of glue into wherever you're trying to stick it, and then just be patient with it and jam it in there. Alright, before I show you them all finished, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. If you've enjoyed the video, please let me know down below. That'd be really good. Kind of new to all of this, but this is what I want to be doing. So yeah, if you've enjoyed, then please do all of that, and thank you for watching this.